Hello, hello, hello. This is Rocky Jordan for Rocky's Rants, episode 10. I usually do videos every Thursday. I kind of skipped a week, so this is like a makeup again for the video. And I normally do game reviews for the most part. I throw a movie review here and there, but I'm going to kind of start doing both. Just for sake of, there's so many Marvel movies coming out now, and Star Wars is hitting the theaters, tons of stuff, so I'll be doing movie reviews as well. And for the most part, people do reviews, and they're like, oh yeah, really like how they did this, and not to say anything, but it's like, you know what, spoiler alert, so, if you haven't seen it yet, and you're big on like, no, don't spoil it for me, watch this video after you watch it. Me, for the most part, I don't care with most spoilers. Like, Spider-Man 2, I knew Gwen was going to die. I just didn't know if it was going to be Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. I knew she was going to die. Like, it's in the comic books. And that's, that's what happens. I like watching the movies because they kind of, you're like, oh, that's interesting. They did this take on it, or this take on whatever. And Days of Future Past, it's supposed to be Shadowcat that goes back to change things, but because of how the movies have been and the reception of certain characters kind of just being thrown into the movie and essentially ruined. Like Gambit I didn't like Gambit in Origins, didn't like Deadpool in Origins, and what was the other character I didn't like? I think that was it. Maybe Juggernaut was kind of bullshit. He's alright, but I don't know. So, if you've read the comics, you can kind of spot little things like, oh, they changed this or they changed that, Off the bat, great movie, absolutely fantastic movie. From the screenshots, I was like, I saw Quicksilver, the dude from Kick-Ass, like the supporting character from Kick-Ass, was Quicksilver. And from the pictures, I was like, oh no, dude, he looks horrible. And then from the Avengers, who is also from Kick-Ass, that Quicksilver looks cool. Like, I was like, dude, he looks fantastic with Scarlet Witch and all that. So, I was very impressed. The parts of the movie with him in it are freaking hilarious and badass at the same time. Like, I hate quirky characters. I hate characters that are like, pun, the smart ass, and like Spider-Man's like, nah. Quicksilver's fantastic in this movie. Oh my gosh, dude, his scene is so, there's a particular scene, and I won't ruin it for you guys, but you'll know what I'm talking about. I was cracking up on it, and it was sick at the same time. Like, I've never seen a part where you're like, oh crap, and at the same time you're laughing your ass off. I don't want to explain too much about the storyline, because if you've seen the trailer, you get what's going on. The future is fucked up, and there's only a couple people alive. Storm is one of them. They send Wolverine back because besides Magneto and Xavier, the only person that is old enough to remember when the Sentinels were first introduced is Wolverine, because he's older than both of them. He's from like the 1800s. He's just as good as ever. It's the only person that plays Wolverine good, in my opinion. That's the only person I can imagine Wolverine as. He does fantastic as usual. This movie gave me a good appreciation of the other movies. Now, as far as the older movies come out, I'll do them by when they came out. So the first movie was fantastic. I really liked the first movie. Really liked what they did with it. And the second movie was good. Third movie, from a comic book standpoint, not from, you know, most people I talk to that don't know about comic books or not really into them, actually enjoy Last Stand. Actually say, yeah, it's pretty good. It's not a terrible movie. You know, if you're a big fan of the comic books, you're like, dude, they just threw in like a ton of characters that people really like. People really like these characters, and they either just gave them a 2-second spotlight or they killed them off. That's why I hated the movie, personally. They said, oh, Psylocke. I was like, dude, Psylocke is, out of all the female characters, my favorite. Psylocke is, oh my gosh. And someone was like, oh yeah, she's in the movie. It's like, bullshit, she was in the movie. And yep, look in the credits. She is in the movie technically. But, yeah, like I said, you're like, what? Who the fuck was she in that? I didn't see her anywhere. So, yeah, that movie I kind of hated. Origins I think it was a very good movie. I think Liev Schreiber was fantastic as Sabretooth. I keep saying Saberwolf because of Killer Instinct, but I think he was a better Sabretooth than the other dude. The other dude looked more like Sabretooth, but Liev Schreiber I like the brother story. I like that a lot. He has the bone claws, and it, you know, they morphed, you know, because they morphed metal to Wolverine's skeleton. And for the longest time, I was like, well, okay, so if you look at your skeleton, they put the metal on his bones. They morph it to his, I'm just going to say morph it to his bones. So if you look at your bones, where the fuck are there 3 claws? That didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, so by putting metal on his skeleton, he automatically has claws? Like, where the fuck did those come from? You know? Did they kind of mess up and tweak it or something? Like, why doesn't he have claws coming out of his neck or something? It's like, oh, because he has bone claws. Makes more sense. Makes a lot more sense story-wise. The 2 things I didn't like, I fucking hated Gambit. Just because he wasn't Cajun, didn't have the accent, and he was in like 2 seconds of the movie. So I was just like, yeah, from a person watching the movie, they'd just be like, he's just another mutant, that's fine. You know, I mean, it's Wolverine, that's the character we want to watch. From a comic book stand, what the fuck, dude? Gambit is my shit, and you fucked him up. You know, I fucking hated Taylor Kirch or Killer Titch or something, whatever the fuck his name is. So yeah, I was mad about that. Deadpool, I was mad because it didn't do, like, the first part with Ryan Reynolds playing him, and it's just, you know, he's talking and everything. He's fantastic. That's great. It's really good. The part where they fucked up is by giving him all those random ass powers and sealing his mouth and making him bald and shit. That part of it was like, okay, you kind of fucked his origin up a little bit, you know? But overall, I really like the movie. I really like it. Like, there's a bunch of people, oh, Will.i.am's in it and this other character. Like, the movie's called Xmen Origins Wolverine. For the most part, it's about Wolverine and his brother. That's about it. The other mutants that are in it are fucking irrelevant. They're just there to fill space, which is fine because I wasn't expecting them to be anything bigger. Let's see, okay, Origins, and then First Class. First Class wasn't my favorite. It seems to be everyone's like, oh, it's the best one. Besides X2, it's the best one. Like, no, it isn't. It's very good. Kevin Bacon is an awesome fucking villain. For the most part, Beast, Mystique, Charles Xavier, and Magneto. Those are the only 4 characters I give a shit about. Everyone else in the movie, besides Kevin Bacon, but he gets killed. Everyone else in the movie, I could give 2 shits about. Like, okay, they killed off Darwin. Like, I don't care. I didn't fucking care about who Darwin was. I mean, I remember him in the comics, but I don't. Certain characters is just like, it's not my favorite ones, you know. Cyclops' brother, who in the comics he's younger than Cyclops, but in this one he's older, and I'm like, fine, it's one fucking detail. I care less whether he's younger or older. They're brothers. And they kind of share that beam thing. But he's the only one that I didn't care about that returns in this movie, like, briefly. So yeah, First Class is like, it's good, but I don't care about 90% of the cast. Same with Origins. Origins, First Class, I didn't care about most of the cast. I was mad about Gambit, I was mad about Deadpool, but that's everyone else. The Blob, I wasn't like, the Blob wasn't done correctly. I don't fucking care about the Blob. I don't care. I just don't care. Let's see. I'm trying to think. So after First Class, which is pretty good, The Wolverine. It's a standalone thing. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie, which I really like. And you either love it or you hate it. I think the whole Silver Samurai thing, a bunch of people, oh, they did it wrong. No, I think he did. I think it was fine. I think Silver Samurai was fantastic, and I think the story was amazing. The Wolverine is probably my favorite right now. I don't know about Days of Future Past. It's so good though. I'll just say, just for now, Wolverine is my favorite. It's my favorite movie for the Xmen movies. And again, it was a Wolverine movie and Silver Samurai. Everyone else in it, I could fucking care less. Wasn't expecting to care. There was 2 other mutants, like the one that can predict the future, and then that Venom chick who I don't fucking care. I just don't. She didn't kill the movie for me. She was just like, it was kind of irrelevant. She was there just to be there, I guess. But yeah, great movie. So the way that the Days of Future Past changed the old ones for me is, you know, spoiler alert, but they completely change everything. So the only movie right now that is set in stone for how the new, you know, you're like, oh, the one disappointing thing about Last Stand and Origins, for the most part, was the fact that it's just like, you know, that character you really, really like? This is what they did with him, and that's like, any future movies are based on this. And you're like, fuck. No. Gambit is bullshit. Deadpool, what the fuck, dude? Angel's like, he saves his dad, the movie, that's it. Fucking, who the hell's out? Cyclops is just fucking killed off. Jean Grey, like so many characters that are just like, well, this movie, spoiler alert, and I mean, if you read the comics, like, and if it's pretty obvious, they fucking changed the past. I would be shocked, like, that would be a huge shocker if the movie ended and it was just like, well, yeah, they all end up dying. That's it. You know, I knew they weren't going to do that. I knew they were going to change the past. I knew it. I just didn't know how far back they were going to go. So, in Origins, yeah, so as far as timeline goes, the only thing that's still, like, technically, so for the future movies, the only thing that happened that we know about is First Class, that whole movie, and 10 minutes of Origins. The first, like, 10 minutes. And that's it. The rest of Origins, The Wolverine, and X-Men 1 through 3, different timeline. They didn't happen because of Days of Future Past. So any movie that happens in the future is after Days of Future Past. So those movies don't exist in this universe now. which is fantastic. That means that I can go back and watch those movies and I'm like, I'm going to appreciate this movie for just being a movie in the series. It didn't fuck up any characters because those characters can be reimagined now. So I can watch Last Stand now. It sounds silly, but I can watch Last Stand and not hate it. Like, I'm going to go back and watch all the movies now because most of the stuff that I didn't like didn't happen. So it's okay, you know? So where it comes in, a lot of people, I don't know if they realize this, but in Days of Future Past, when they send him back, he's like, well, where am I going to wake up? And they're like, we don't know. He'll wake up in the 70s. Origins, for the most part, took place in the 80s. It was a brief thing, like he was in the 1800s when he was born, and then he went through all the wars, and most of it takes place in the 80s. So they talked about in the movie, like, oh, you change one thing, you know, it creates a ripple through history, and many things through history change. So one of the main things, let's see, okay, when he wakes up in his old body in Days of Future Past, these guys rush in and they're like, what the hell, you slept with the boss's daughter, Jimmy? They call him Jimmy, not Logan. They call him Jimmy, which means before Sabretooth, fucking Killer Instincts, before Sabretooth and Wolverine were captured and put in prison, and then, you know, Stryker came and got him, that's when he wakes up. Like, right during, I think I don't want to fuck up time, but right during the end of the Vietnam War. So he must have been, you know, he was at home on leave or something, so he never met Stryker. Awesome. And Stryker's in the movie. Stryker, that's the first time they meet. And Stryker looks at his claws and is like, ooh, I think I could do something with that, you know? It kind of hints at that, so yeah, Origins, the only two things that I liked, the two things that I really liked about the movie, I liked the brother thing. I liked Sabretooth way more than the first movie. I like Liev Schreiber. He's like one of my favorite actors. He can potentially be in the next, like, the sequel to First Class, or the sequel to Days of Future Past and First Class, but it's set in the past. So it's set up to where there's future movies and there's past movies now. So there's two timelines that can just continue, which I think is awesome. So that means that Liev Schreiber could return as Sabretooth, and he can join Magneto then, and just, like, I love it. Yeah, that got me excited. The two things that didn't happen, and I'm fine with: Gambit didn't happen, and Deadpool didn't happen. It wasn't where he changes the past is before he met Stryker, so before he met Deadpool, before he met all those guys. So awesome. So the bulk of that movie didn't exist. Yeah, the parts that I didn't want to exist didn't exist. Emma Frost didn't exist. So her in First Class, people were like, well, if both of those movies in the same time, like, how's that going to work? Like, Emma Frost is two different... No, it's fine. Emma Frost... spoiler, she's dead in Days of Future Past, which I'm fine. I never really gave a shit about her. Like I said, she was one of the characters I was like, nah. You only need one people controlling minds here. So Emma Frost is dead. So in Origins, when she's like the younger sister, didn't happen, so it's fine. Let's see, what else happened. There's a lot to go over. So Origins, that is changed. So a lot of the mistakes they made from each movie are very much rectified. X2, which is arguably the best one, Lady Deathstrike was dead. And she was just like being controlled the whole time. The whole story of her knowing Wolverine and like all that can be explored now because she didn't die. Different timeline. I'm trying to think what else happened in 2. I don't think there's anything else that's like dramatically different with 2. Oh, I know, like Nightcrawler and Rogue, like how they are. The story I'm used to is Nightcrawler and Rogue. Nightcrawler is Mystique's son, and Rogue is her stepdaughter. And Rogue kills, I don't remember if she kills her or Miss Marvel, she takes all her power, and it's just like she keeps those powers from now on. She can still absorb powers, but she can fly and she has super strength. They can do that now, so yeah, the next movie, which is based in the past, I better see baby Nightcrawler and baby Rogue with Mystique raising them, and then Gambit is born around that time, so they can have the whole romance thing. Yes, fantastic. So yeah, that's that they changed from the second movie. The third movie, everything, all those characters now they can be explored better. Different timelines, so I better see Psylocke. I better see her in a movie. All that was fixed, which is just freaking awesome. And then let's see. I did 1, 2, 3. I did Origins. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Silver Samurai technically didn't happen, which, if anyone really was mad about that movie for some reason, I think it was fantastic. But for people that Silver Samurai should have been dead, but maybe they'll touch on that again. There's a ton of X-Men stories. Definitely super excited for these movies. Really excited for the future of the movies. This opens up, Deadpool has a chance to have his own spin-off movie, and it'll make sense because it's a different timeline and it can intertwine with that. Fantastic Four are going to be introduced into the series. Wolverine's going to have another movie. I hope that it's another origin story, to where you see a better story with the way he gets his claws, or the metal on his claws. He has bone claws. And hopefully they do something with Lady Deathstrike on that. And even, if they just if the studios just stop being an asshole and either let Mark Ruffalo or Edward Norton cross over into a Wolverine movie just as its own thing, just as like a different Hulk, and have a Hulk versus, oh my god, that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, there's a cartoon called Hulk Versus. Because of how this changed all the movies, I think they could do that story. The way that plans out with all the characters would be great. Yeah, they talked about, they have Apocalypse, which is a sequel. I don't know if Apocalypse is a sequel to the Days of Future Past, the past or the future. I don't know which sequel it is. But they have potential to do like 2 sequels, one to the First Class series and then one to the new series, which would be Xmen 4 technically. Well, yeah, timeline wise, or yeah, because the other ones are spin-offs, so it would be Xmen 4, Xmen 5. It would be Xmen 5 because Days of Future Past. Yeah, confusing the fuck out of my X-Men. That's the one thing about in the comic books even. Confuse the fuck out of me with all their goddamn storylines. So many fucking storylines. It's like, which one are you? But yeah, I can't wait to see Gambit. Nightcrawler. I hope Alan Cummings did a really fucking good job as Nightcrawler, but if he's just done doing it, he seems to be like, I don't want to do it. Recast him. That's fine. we get a different version of him anyway. And I would like to see him as a kid with Rogue in the next movie. It'd be fantastic. Yeah, so that's the end of it. 25 minutes. A lot to fucking talk about. And I recommend, like, if you've already seen it, well, yeah, if you obviously probably already seen it if you continued past this video, but watch all the movies. Watch all the movies again from a standpoint of the outcome of Days of Future Past. Now that you've seen Days of Future Past, watch the old ones and just think, honestly, like, I'm gonna go watch all the movies right now. I'm kidding you not. I have, days off. Obviously, I mean, yeah, I have days off of work right now. So, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna watch them timeline-wise. Like, I'm gonna watch First Class first, then I'm gonna watch Origins, then I'm gonna watch 1, 2, 3, then I'm gonna watch The Wolverine. Just back to back. And I have the feeling I'm gonna enjoy him quite a bit more because of this movie. And I'm very excited that they changed that up. And people just, they got I can't remember the guy's name right now, the director, or the guy that did the first two movies and then he was gone. He did this movie, he's back doing Xmen movies. And they have better potential, in my opinion. He does the movies justice. The first two were amazing, this one's just as good. So, yeah, I would give a little more faith with Channing Tatum. Believe it or not, he's one of those guys that, like, when I saw him in that dance movie where he's like, oh, he's a street kid, but then he dances and he's all cool now. I thought he was a douchebag, like, for the longest time, and then just it might be since maybe 21 Jump Street or something, or maybe from, I forget what movie it was that I saw him in, and ever since then it was just like, this dude he's actually a fucking good actor. Him and there's two actors that I thought were douchebags, and then now I like, oh, they're actually a really good actor. The High School Musical kid who's in Neighbors, that dude's a fucking great actor. I just fucking hated in the High School Musical with a passion. 17 Again was actually not terrible. So him and Channing Tatum are actually pretty good actors. And just the fact that he said he's going to learn the Cajun accent shows me he's dedicated to it. So have faith that Gambit will be amazing in the next one. If he slims down a little bit, he will be fantastic. I'm very confident that he will, because we have the same director, same writers. Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. Tell me what your favorite X-Men movie is, and who your favorite character is, and what you want to have happen with them, etc., etc. Oh, spoiler! Apocalypse is in the fucking. He's the next movie. The next movie's titled Apocalypse. Yes, fantastic. And I like. Just before I'm done, I can talk about this for hours, but Quicksilver was fantastic, and he hinted at the fact that Magneto is his dad. So that's awesome. And they're going off that storyline for the X-Men. For Avengers, they're going off, okay, Quicksilver and his sister, I can't remember her name right now, for some reason, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. They are going based off of the Avengers storyline. Two different ones, two different people with the same, like, their brother and sister. So, yes. I hope the Quicksilver is good. I really like this Quicksilver now, so I'm worried about the other one just because I like this one so much. Anyway, that's the end of my video. It's about a half hour. So, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. See you later.